Oh, hey, little buddy. Hey, champ, what are you doing? I didn't see you there. What's that? You want to watch Dad play some video games? Okay. Just make sure Mom doesn't find out. She probably has some homework for you to do or something. What's up, everybody? And by special request today, we are starting a new series on the game Microtopia. So what is Microtopia? Well, it's a factory automation game. So in the vein of games like Factorio, Satisfactory, Dyson Sphere program. Uh, Eventually, the goal of the game is to automate everything, but in the beginning, you have to manually go to different places to do things. But um, eventually, you get buildings, inserters that take things from buildings, and then you get conveyor belts that the inserters put them on the conveyor belts. And you know, the difference between those games and this game, though, is this game asks, what if those inserters and belts were alive? Um, and we'll get more to that once we get into the game, but let's get it started now. That's enough of an intro. I have a special world seed I want to play on. I found it while looking for worlds to start Let's Play series on, and this one is pretty good, so let's take a look. Oh, sorry. During that intro, or that short flyby, I had a sip of some lovely tea that my wife made me. Delicious chamomile tea. Um, so, what is Microtopia, right? We discussed that. And now we're in the game. And let's see what we got to do. There's a couple of little tutorials that ask us to do some things like move the camera around in all directions. Use WASD to do that. Rotate the camera with the middle mouse button in both directions. And then zoom the camera in, or zoom it out and zoom it in. Look how close we can get. Alright, what's next? That rewarded us with our queen. Now let's take a look at the island and see a good place to land our leading lady. I want to be here in the middle, and I think that's going to be just fine to start with. So let's place her somewhere like that. She's coming in. Oh, there she is. Gorgeous. And she comes equipped, or along with, 4 of these little ants. They're called sentry ants. And they're special. And I'll explain why in just a moment. So, the next little tutorial here asks us to instruct a worker to pick up a piece of scrap iron. So if you notice over here, there's scrap iron. And not only does it come in these little individual pieces, but it comes in these piles as well that have, 31 or 34 or different numbers of stuff, right? Okay. So we need to collect one of those. We'll take our sentry ant and we'll go and collect one. Let's see what the next step is. The next step, and that allows us to unlock stockpiles. Stockpiles are where we can place any material we need. In this case, we're just going to place our scrap metal. So we'll take our ant, we'll instruct it to drop it off at the stockpile, and we'll see what the next step is. So that unlocked trails. We have this new tab here, trails. And unlock the hauling trail and the eraser button. So it says create a hauling loop. Use it to collect 10 pieces of scrap iron. So we can do that pretty easy. There's our loop. We'll pick up our stockpile and we'll place it on the loop so that this ant has somewhere to drop off the scrap that it picks up. And as you can see, we can move the trail just by clicking and dragging it anywhere we want. Super handy. I'm going to have a couple ants do that. So just sending them over there. One thing to note is that the stockpiles are free. So If you want to place multiple stockpiles, it doesn't really matter. You can also move the contents from one stockpile to another. So, you know, storage is basically all intertwined. I guess what I'm trying to say is, you know, don't be afraid to have multiple storages for a single item. You're probably going to end up needing them. So if you notice now, they're going to pick up from this stockpile here, and they're going to take one every time, and then drag it over here to the stockpile. So if we want to make this a little bit quicker, we can go and move our stockpile. Looks like we already got 10. It says the queen is going to soon birth her first larva. You can grow larvae into new workers by using an incubator. Build an incubator. So we see we got a new tab here. It says population. That's going to allow us to at first make this incubator, and it costs conveniently 10 scrap. So we're going to place that down, and as you can see, you know, it's an incubator. It has a recipe to grow a small worker, and that requires 1 larva. So let's complete that and see what happens. It says workers have to collect the larva from the queen and bring them to the incubator. Create a new trail to do this. Okay, let's go back to our trails and we'll do something simple. We'll have the workers start, have them walk and pick up the larva, walk over to the incubator, and come back. If you notice the flags here and the arrows, they tell us that there's going to be an action performed if the ant is meeting the current criteria. So, you know, this one just requires there to be a larva in the chamber. And now we'll do another trail because this guy will want to walk away. And let's bring him up here. Okay. It says, feed the queen an energy pod. And how do we do that? What is an energy pod? Well, let's go take a look over here. In the corner we have all these flowers together. And if you see them, they're growing some fruits that are conveniently energy pods. So what we need to do, and they've given us a new trail, is to take the foraging trail and make a path around the flowers, and so they can collect them. Don't forget a storage pile. And we'll take these two. Oop, careful when you grab the line like that from far away. It's easier to get closer. So we'll take these 2 ants and march them over here so they can begin collecting food for the queen. Now let's take a look at these 2 ants because they're different. You got 1 small ant, 1 large ant. So this small ant, if you take a look, it's only going to be it says a lifespan. It's only alive for about 5 minutes. On this panel it tells you also how fast they move. It tells you what they can't do, or what they can do, and again, their lifespan. So how is that different from the sentry ant? Well, the sentry ant, if you notice, can do the same things as a small ant, but it cannot die. It has an infinite lifespan, which is very convenient. So basically, that means that, you know, if you feel like you're going to lose the campaign or something, you cannot lose it. So this is going to ask us to feed him, or feed her, the energy pod, and we're going to do that. We're also going to move our other sentry ants to pick up more iron, because we're going to need that, a lot of that. I'm going to put a couple stockpiles here after our every pile, so that we, you know, can be efficient with our time. Here comes our little buddy, a little ant. He's going to feed the queen her first meal. Look at that. She loved it. Alright, let's complete this little tutorial and see what's next. So it says, keep producing more workers until you reach a population of 10. So right now we have 8, and it counts the larva as well, so we have 9. What we're going to do is we're going to make a trail that from here goes toward the queen, goes around, back around, and and connects to this, connects to itself. That way we have something for our ants to be doing, which at this point is just wandering around, though from here it gets extremely complex. What we do need to do is feed her more. So let's take some of these ants and we'll send them over here to pick more flowers. And we're going to send this guy back really quick to feed her. So you can see how in the beginning it's pretty tedious. Oh, here, look. This is something I wanted to talk about as well. So this ant is nearing its death. It's become elderly, and it's changed color. Right now we can't do anything with that, but eventually we're going to get different, technologies unlocked, and we'll be able to do a bunch of different cool stuff. So let's just focus on getting the queen her meal for now, and we're going to take these younger ants and we're going to bring them back out here so that they can feed her, because if you can see in the top left, the queen has an energy reserve, and she is going to need more and more energy over time. Looks like we ended up accomplishing our goal we found ourselves with 10 ants. Perfect. It says scrap iron can be processed into iron ingots by using a smelter. So the next objective is going to be to build a smelter and then convert the iron scrap that we've collected, into iron blocks. But before we do that, I want to take a look at something down here, and that's a dispenser. So what is a dispenser? It basically allows you to take something from a stockpile and pull it out in that place. So now let's take a look and see what happens. Oh, look, all of the energy that's in the stockpile that's being collected over there in the flowers is now being pulled out by every single ant that walks by the queen. And if you see here, her energy is rising quickly. That's good. That means once she reaches the next stage, she's going to be able to produce more workers. As you know, the workers are a limited resource in terms of how long they last. So the more workers we have, the better our colony will do, the more things we'll be able to do. So let's take a look at this production line. It says smelter right here. So let's see this smelter. It also conveniently requires 10 iron scrap to build. And it has different recipes. For now we only know how to make iron, and that's fine. Let's make a quick trail here, and we're going to use the same thing that we just learned with the flowers over there, this time with our iron. So if you notice, if we select the scrap stockpile, we have this button here that says place dispenser. So we're going to use that to place a dispenser for our ant to use, and we're not going to forget our stockpile. So let's see, the ant grabbed the scrap iron from that stockpile over there and put it into this burner. So we're going to need to do that 10 times, which is fine. Right now we're just trying to understand the mechanics, because everything builds on itself in this game and in games like this. Once you learn one technique, you use that to do something as a first step of something that's more complex in the next build chain. Excuse me, that tea is just delicious. As you can see now, our workers are getting close. I'm sure one of them at least has died, which is not a problem, but again, it's just a reminder that these ants, which are the lifeblood of the colony, are finite and they don't last forever. So we need to be efficient with their use, efficient with the time that we have with them, and we don't want to waste anything, whether it's resources or the ants themselves, because the ants, again, they are a resource. And if you see, these ones are so nice. They're so good. They work so quickly, and I love them. Eventually you can make more of the sentry ants, but they are very far up in the tech tree, and I can't even imagine how to get there. I've played almost 100 hours in this game, and I barely scratched the surface. So, looks like we're over halfway through with our iron block stockpile. Let's take this other sentinel ant and move him, or her. I don't know, are all ants female? I think they might all be female, just like bees. So, let's move her over to the... It looks like we're out completely, which is perfect. We'll move her back. Can we move a few of these because they're not really doing anything yet? We'll take a couple of these smaller ants, put them on the energy collection. Oh, okay, so you see a couple of them have died. Again, but that's fine because the queen has enough energy to replace her workers. And at this point, we're just keep on keeping on. So we completed our goal of collecting 10 iron blocks. And we need to use that iron to build a workshop, which conveniently costs 10 iron blocks. So here's the workshop. And again, it's more of the same. This time we have screws we can make and iron plates we can make. So let's see what we're allowed to do now. It says we're going to need to make 2 of these eventually, which means we'll need 2 iron. We'll need 2 iron plates and some screws. So we'll need 1 making screws and 1 making iron plates. But we only make 1 iron per minute. So that means already we're going to have to upgrade our smeltery, which is a good thing we're collecting all of this scrap iron already, because we're going to go through it very, very, very quickly. So let's get to work on that. And if you notice, we got a couple more trails. We'll talk about those in a second, which they're going to be conveniently useful for us as we increase our production chains. So we're going to wait for... we need to wait for him to die. We're going on this right way. So this first new trail we have is called a divider. What it does is it takes a trail and splits it into multiple trails. Allows you to do multiple things with a single trail, which is, you know, life-changing as far as this game is concerned. Before we've had a single trail, and we needed to, you know, manually pull an ant and put it on the trail, and, you know, watch for it to die, and then grab another one and put it back. So very tedious. And with this divider and the next gate, the counter gate, it's really opened the game up for us. So we're going to take this divided trail, and we're going to turn it into our first production line. It's a very simple production line. Basically, you're taking, and I'll explain once I'm complete. So we are going to take from this stockpile here, and we're going to place a dispenser. From this dispenser, the ants are going to walk through the divider, and they're going to go to each in turn. So that means instead of having just 1 ant on our line, in fact we're going to do 4, because after that one passed, then we can move our iron block stockpile onto this new production chain. And it's so nice, you can just grab from the divider. As long as you select the divider, it's smart enough to know that, you know, that's what you want, and help you to create a new line immediately. And in fact, I think I've left enough space that I can do this the way that I want to do it. So we're going to erase this trail, and we're going to do it like this. We're going to place a dispenser here. Open it up a little bit. We're going to place another dispenser here. We're going to make another dispenser for each one. And that's going to give us now 4 iron block smelters that we can send our ants into. Now we're going to use this counter gate, and the counter gate does exactly what you think it does, exactly what it sounds like it does. It takes a count of ants that you would like to have on there in your trail, and it does it for you. When they die or move on, the ants will go in of their own accord and start getting to work, which is extremely convenient. And we're going to do that for the flower land as well. It's pretty far away, but that's fine. We want probably 3 or 4 in there as well for now. It's a trade-off, right? Especially with the way I have it set up now. This setup will take us pretty far, but eventually we'll have to change it. And if you don't like setting and resetting your layout of your factory, these games are not for you. It's all about making things more and more efficient over time, and the only way to do that is to break things down and build them up. So if you notice now, this ant has to wait for this incubator to be available. So if we add a second incubator, now they don't have to wait. And if we time it right, this one should be just popping. Okay, this one should be just popping when he puts her down. So, and now we have a more steady supply of energy coming into our queen. We have a huge population, or larger than we started out with, and now we have enough to work on the screws, and we have enough to work on the plates. So let's build our second, what's this called? Workshop. Something different in every game, so it's hard to remember. So we got screws, and we got plates. And we're going to do the same thing that we've done in the past. We're going to take our line, and we're going to take a dispenser. Only this time, if you notice, these take iron blocks and not iron scrap. We're going to place the dispenser on the correct side, the way that our trail is running. It's counterclockwise on in this instance. We're going to take a counter gate. We have one ant go in there, and it's going to build screws. And we're going to do the same thing for our iron plates. Line. Take our dispenser and build a stockpile. Again, we're going to have a counter gate, bring an ant in there, and do its thing. Now, here's where it gets complicated, and why you're going to use all these multitude of trails that you get throughout the game. This workshop here is producing screws. It takes one iron block to produce a screw. So the ant comes, it takes this iron block, gets to work. When the work's complete, it takes a screw, puts it on the stockpile. If you notice here, the iron plate takes 4 iron blocks to make one iron plate. So after this is complete, this ant is going to walk around, grab an iron block, put it in the workshop. And after walk around again, grab another iron block, put it in the workshop. Do that 4 times before it can begin its work and put the iron plate on the stockpile. So if you notice quickly, we have gained screws very fast, but we haven't even produced a single iron plate. That's going to be a problem. So now the next question is, how do we increase our production of iron plates? The logical thing to do is to make a second workshop with a separate line doing the same work. Wouldn't it be convenient if we could do this, all together? And so the next stage in the evolution of this game is in that process. And how do you find, how do you make trails that, excuse me, Alright, that was a huge burp. I didn't think that was going to be very good for this episode, so excuse me. So how do you make efficient workspaces that take their resources and use them efficiently and effectively, right? That's one of the main challenges of this game. It starts with the ants themselves, right? How do we use our limited resource effectively? Like this guy just standing there doing nothing. We have enough screws, and they fill up so fast that it's almost not worth it to have one going all the time. So let's complete that. We're gonna move our trail around here. get our ants to be doing some work instead of just standing there. So if you see how seamlessly, how simply we can move, create new nodes, it's a very nice touch. I really like this take on the factory game. It's very nice. Okay, so now what it wants us to do is combine our workers. So this is one of the key features of this game. These ants over time, like I said, will die, right? You can either let them die, or you can turn them into something useful, which in this case, we can take an old ant and we can turn it into something else. These small ants, when you take them and combine them together, they turn into workers. So if you notice, look how big this ant is. Look how big this ant is. It's about twice the size of the other ant, right? So it literally combines two workers into one larger worker. Now, what's the difference between those small workers and the big workers? Well, the small workers last 5 minutes, and the large workers, the regular workers themselves, last 10 minutes. So, out of 2 of these ants, we can turn 2 ants that last 5 minutes into another ant that lasts another 10 minutes and get some more work out of it. So that's going to be the goal, is to take these older ants and put them into this combiner. So our next little tutorial is to make 5 of those ants. And we're gonna do that. We want to, ultimately we want to use the oldest ants to do that. But sometimes you just want to get through the tutorial as well, and that's fine. We have enough population to make it work, and it would be convenient to have these older ants working for longer, making these stockpiles larger. Looks like we have 5. We need more screws, so we can do that now. We'll just use him once. It's going to last about 10 minutes anyways. So Queen Mama, she just keeps churning ants out. You notice our population went from 10 to 50 already. But you notice I didn't really cover it at the beginning, but she is draining energy at a quicker rate the higher this bar goes, and the further up stages she goes. So really to be feeding her as much and as quickly as possible to keep that level high. Okay, now we need to do something else, and that is to combine 2 regular workers into an inventor ant. So we have enough regular workers. We can spare a couple. And we'll build our inventor ant. Let's see what the next step is. Looks like we definitely need quite a few more on this trail, so we'll pump that up to 8. I feel like we could build one more of these, but we're not in any rush right now. We already aren't even using all of our ants that we have at our disposal. So let's complete that and see what that guy looks like. Well, he's a weird looking ant. How long does he last? Only 8 minutes. Alright, let's see what we do with the inventor ants. Inventor ants can unlock new buildings and recipes. So we've essentially got ourselves the beginnings of our technology tree. So what is this? This is an inventor pad, and this is where the inventors need to go in order to be fed energy pods, in order to grow this sack on their back. It's going to require 1 iron plate and 4 screws, so let's build that really quickly. And the inventor ants, remember the ants always are going to enter on the blue dot. The yellow dot is going to be where they exit from. We'll take one of these ants and we'll use it to feed from the same pod here as our queen, and we're just going to jumpstart this energy here. Just overload it because we have so many, and yeah, we definitely need to get that going because we don't have nearly enough energy. And yeah, those 10-minute long worker ants are going to be very nice. Continue making those of our older ants. So we fed the inventor ant 2 energy pods so far. We need to feed it 10, but you know, it adds up quickly. We can make it quicker by shortening the distance to this trail, but you know, we're hurting for energy at the moment, so we may as well just do with what we got. And we're in no rush. In the meantime, we'll continue to manipulate our other ants here into a night. Look at this weird thing here. I don't think we need all that. Stockpiles are continuing to grow now because we've used these counter gates and we haven't had to even think about them. The counter gates are keeping our workshops busy. Look, this guy's still going. Still got 4.5 minutes. Oh, look how big that sack is. We need 2 more energy pods. He will be complete. So when it's full, we'll click on it, and that will sacrifice the energy in the ant, sacrifice the ant itself, to give us some inventor points. Inventor points are used on the technology tree. Sorry, and it is a very big technology tree. It goes for quite a ways. Quite a few things to unlock in this game. And there are multiple resources to find and utilize. There are multiple technologies that are needed to be. There's multiple types of inventor points that need to be unlocked that allow you to, unlock these technologies here. So it's not a very, it gets more complex as we go. The first thing we're going to unlock, though, is the radar tower. Let's do that. And that gives us 2 new things to do. One is to be able to unlock plant cutting, which will need a lot of fiber. That, you can see, costs 10 inventor points. The other node here is just to reach a population of 50 ants. So we're going to highlight that, and we're very close, actually. We only need 2 more ants. I'm going to try and get this because they die at the same rate that they're born, basically. You're not quick enough, you might lose it. See what I mean? No, that's good. Perfect, okay. So complete inventory ant, and we did that. Let's build this, and that needs us to have 30... that needs us to have 30 energy in our storage. So that means we're probably going to need to have a second run here of these energy pods, and we will do that, and we'll make sure that it also has as many as it needs, which will probably be an 8, maybe 9. I'm going to show you something cool here. If we're smart, we can make ourselves more efficient here. The ants can drop this off in a place, they don't have to necessarily be touching the stockpile. So we can get more than 1 trail using the stockpile. Let's increase this from just 1 ant to 10 ants. And we can see them just march, 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 do the millipede march. Sorry, Danny, go. Until over lacking sleep. Just get these guys waiting over here. so that I can turn them into longer-lived ants. Okay, working our way towards our goal of having 30. We have almost everything else. So we have plenty of iron plates for now, so I'm going to just end this whenever this ant is finished with its life cycle. Don't have to do too many more of those at the moment, but we will eventually. Want as many of those as we can find. Or as we can make, I guess. So as you can see, these longer-lived ants are going to go out there more often now, and they're going to help us to be more efficient, utilize our smaller ants to do more tasks around the queen, since they don't live as long. This guy's still been going this whole time. That's just crazy. He made 20 screws. Love to see it. We can also be getting more adventure points, but again, we don't necessarily know it immediately. Maybe we'll send this guy over since he's such a good help to us. And we'll combine this worker with these two. Staffed. Looks like our energy resources growing nicely. Pull that guy out so we can use that energy before it dies. And something I forgot to mention is that these larger ants, they can do one more task than the small workers. They can cut plants, and that's going to be useful for our technology tree because we're about to unlock plant cutting as we feed this guy 10 energy. We're going to cut this off because we really want to unlock the radar tower and see what that does for us. It's pretty far away, so they don't even start collecting for a while, but we'll be fine. Could also make another trail here, which is closer. Just have a few workers on that. And we're going to unlock plant cutting. Okay, so we hit our 50 ant goal completion. That unlocked a couple other things that we're also going to want, almost immediately. But that'll probably be for the next episode. We're going to want to unlock the old gate, which does exactly what it sounds like. The assembler, which is a new kind of combiner. And then the iron floor tiles, which is going to help us to organize our base better. So let's get these guys on here. So we just need to stockpile to have the 30 energy to unlock the radar tower. So this is going to be the next episode. Let's start the radar tower because we have pretty much everything. We're just waiting on our energy. We don't really need to feed her too much, so this will draw directly from the energy, and it has energy stockpiles and has precedence over pretty much everything else. Any dispenser, building has priority over dispensers. So keep these guys going here. And the queen has plenty of energy. She does not need to work. Oh, looks like we did it pretty quick. So that was nice. This person can get out of here. So let's make contact. And we do that by just clicking on the radar tower and see what happens. So now that you have established a colony, it is time to start communicating with others of your kind. Well, look what happens here. Look at all these other ants that are flying around. That's interesting. What are they doing? Beautiful game, you know, in its own eerie, robotic way. Robotic, insectile way. Looks like they aren't collecting anything. Let's fix that. Perfect. Okay, so looks like we did it. So reveal new island. Let's reveal a new island. Oh, look at this. If you zoom out all the way. Okay, before we talk about that, let's talk about the report screen. So this report screen shows you how long, or not how long, but how many ants you've created, how many died of each caste. So you have small worker ants, and inventor ants. Only 3 of our worker ants were killed or left to die before we repurposed them, which is this middle column. It looks like we were able to repurpose 32 of the small worker ants, which is pretty good for our first 38 minutes of gameplay here. So let's just do a quick look around and see. I wanted to talk about one last thing before we wrap things up, and that's this. So why do they call it Microtopia? Well, if you zoom all the way out, you can see that we're pretty much looking at specks of dust under a microscope. And these ants are living under a microscope, so Microtopia. I just thought that's a neat little feature that they took it all the way there. But for now, that's going to do it for Microtopia, and we'll catch you in the next episode. If you watched this far, thanks for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.